The Forsaken Heir. Previous episodes are available on the playlist. You can also visit our website for your favorite stories. A link is provided in the video description. Episode 15. The pill that Charlie held in his hand was nothing but the medicine he refined according to the 9 profound heaven scriptures, but it made everyone's heart beat crazily. A crowd of people waited to see the crystal-clear pill, and everyone's breathing started to rush. Among these people, Tian Kai, the oldest, was the most excited, and even the genius doctor's usual indifferent manner was almost unable to maintain. He has a serious old injury that has not been cured, which has caused him to suffer from illness for half his life. Last time, he occasionally got the pills refined by Charlie, and the symptoms relieved a lot, but the cure was not yet possible. Now, after hearing that the effect of this new medicine was more than 10 times that of the last time, Tian Kai was so excited that he even felt that he would be able to completely heal the old wounds. If Mr. Wade's magic medicine can really have this effect, then this is a great kindness. And Warnya's eyes were extremely excited. Although Charlie used acupuncture to save her grandfather, his body is still weak. If he wants to live and live a long life, he must rely on Charlie's magical medicine. Therefore, at this time, her eyes looking at the magic medicine was extremely hot, and the eyes looking at Charlie were even hotter. As for Qin Gang, he almost shouted with excitement when he thought of getting 2 magical medicines. Charlie said lightly at this time, some problems that modern medicine cannot overcome, such as diabetes, kidney failure, and other malignant diseases, can be cured by taking this pill. Everyone was even more shocked by the voice. Although the diseases Charlie said casually are very common, they are all difficult diseases in modern medicine. Not to mention that they can't be cured by taking medicine, even going abroad can't cure them. Especially diabetes is also known as undead cancer, there is no cure at all. But here with the help of Charlie, a magic medicine can be cured. This is simply a medical miracle. Everyone present sighed inwardly. Mr. Wade is really the genius doctor of the world, the true dragon of 9 days. Aoxu's beautiful eyes were shining, and her complexion was as if a fire was burning. She couldn't help thinking that Mr. Wade, a figure like this, will surely soar into the 9 heavens. She must seize the opportunity and she must not miss it. Zhovia couldn't help showing her admiring eyes at Charlie. Charlie's ability was something she could not imagine in her entire life. If she could learn some trivial methods under Mr. Wade, it would be enough for the entire medical world. At this moment, Charlie saw that everyone was eager to see through, smiled faintly, and said, "Okay, let me divide the medicine." Everyone couldn't bear it for a long time, and their faces were full of excitement. Charlie stood up, took out a pill with one hand, first handed it to the oldest Tian Kai, and said lightly, "Mr. Shi, this one is for you." Tian Kai trembled. He knelt on his knees, holding his hands above his head respectfully, and said humbly, "Mr. Wade gave me the medicine. Mr. Wade is very kind, and I am willing to be a cow and a horse for my whole life, and repay Mr. Wade." Charlie smiled slightly, "Mr. Shi, you and I are also destined, don't be so polite." After all, put the pill in Tian Kai's hands. Tian Kai was full of tears, and when he thought of being tortured for half his life by an old injury, he subconsciously wanted to take it all out and completely free himself from the pain. Charlie stopped him and said lightly, "Mr. Shi, this medicine is too strong. You only need to take half a capsule to cure your old disease. Treasure the remaining half capsule, and it will be of great use in the future." Tian Kai's heart was shocked. He could heal himself with only half of it. This is really amazing. Thinking of this, he took out the blade used to scrape the dregs of medicine, split the pill into two, then opened his mouth and swallowed it. Everyone looked at him intently, hoping to see a miracle happen. A few seconds after Tian Kai took the pill, his face instantly became flushed, his skin instantly turned red, and he sweated a lot. Tian Kai felt like a magical warm current in his body was running around. His body like long dried yellow earth with mottled cracks, and this warm current, like mild clean water, quickly fills up the cracks in the yellow earth and nourishes the entire land. He felt that his stubborn and old wound had started to repair quickly, and his eyes widened, revealing an expression of disbelief. "Mr. Wade, this is really amazing. The old disease that has plagued me for decades is completely healed within a few minutes." Tian Kai's eyes were full of tears that flowed down his cheeks. Over the years, he was tortured by the old illness and collapsed. Not only was he unable to treat the illness himself, but he was also in danger of losing his life at any time, and his life was extremely painful. But now, Charlie's half a pill will cure him completely. This can be said to be amazing, and it is no longer able to describe it in words. Puff. Tian Kai knelt again, and the old tearfully said, "Mr. Wade, you are my reborn parent. If you don't dislike it, Tian Kai is willing to treat you with the courtesy of father, brother, and teacher titles." Suffering from illness and pain, once he recovered, the ups and downs made him feel excited. Everyone saw Tian Kai recovering like this on the spot, and they admired the magic medicine made by Mr. Wade even more. This pill alone is worth more than 10,000 gold. After they get it, they won't sell it for any amount of money. Charlie looked at Tian Kai, supported him with one hand, and said, "Mr. Shi, I have taken your mind, but you are an elder, after all, so don't salute me in the future." Tian Kai hurriedly said, "Why then, Mr. Wade is the benefactor in the next step." Seeing that he had a strong S3XUAL axis, Charlie stopped talking, but looked at Warnya, took out medicine, and said, "Miss Song, this medicine is for Mr. Song." Warnya hurriedly knelt in front of Charlie as Tian Kai did before, and raised her hands above her head. "Thank you, Mr. Charlie, for giving the medicine. Your great kindness, the Song family will never forget." Charlie nodded and smiled, and took out 2 pills without failing, hiding one pill in the sleeve, and putting the other pill into Warnya's hands. Warnya got the medicine and was excited. She was about to close her palm and carefully put the pill away. At this time, she felt a round object in the center of her palm. She felt a little in her heart, raised her head to look at Charlie, and saw Charlie looking at her with a smile on his face, and blinked his right eye lightly, and suddenly understood what Charlie meant. This is Charlie giving her one more, and then told her to keep quiet. Warnya was extremely excited and touched. She didn't dare to hope that Charlie could give her 2 pills. Moreover, the second one was given quietly. Does this mean that the second one was not given to Grandpa by him, but given to her? For Charlie, giving Warnya one more medicine was nothing. However, for Warnya, it is of great significance. At this time, Her heart was already touched by Charlie, and she even felt a little girl being protected and cared for by a big boy. In her silly eyes, Charlie walked to Solomon White and took out a pill. "Mr. White, this one is for you." Solomon White shivered all over, and immediately knelt on the ground, just like everyone else, waiting respectfully. Charlie put the medicine in his hand, and Solomon White blurted out, "Thank you, Mr. Wade, for giving the medicine. Solomon White will listen to your orders in the future." Seeing Solomon White's piety kneeling on the ground, he said lightly, "Mr. White, your son and your nephew both angered me at the beginning. If you hadn't been a human being, they would probably not have been in this world." Solomon White squatted in his heart and squatted his head hurriedly and said, "Thank you, Mr. Wade, for raising your hand." Charlie snorted and said, "Tell the young people in your family that they must learn to behave with tail clipped." Solomon White nodded in a hurry, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, I must warn them." "Yet," Charlie said lightly, "you take the medicine, and it may save your life in the future." As soon as Solomon White got the magic medicine, his face was flushed with excitement. "Mr. Wade, if you need my family in the future, please let me know." After that, it was Qin Gang. Charlie promised Aoxu to give her 2 pills, so Charlie gave Qin Gang 1, and Aoxu another 1. The father and daughter knelt on the ground together, extremely pious. Qin Gang immediately expressed his stance, saying, "From now on, my Qin family will also regard Mr. Wade as the dragon head." Charlie smiled slightly and nodded in satisfaction. At this time, all the medicines that should be given have been given out, but he thought about it and said loudly, "Mr. Orville, come in." Orville, who had been guarding the door of the box, hurried in. "Mr. Wade, what's your order?" With that, Orville looked at Charlie respectfully and bowed his hands in salute. Charlie nodded faintly and smiled, "I know you and I are not short anymore. You work hard and work diligently. I will prepare a pill for you today when refining medicine." When Orville heard this, his whole body was dumbfounded. The limbs are hot, and the head explodes. He had been waiting outside the box just now, and of course, he had heard what Charlie said in the box and what happened after Tian Kai took the medicine. However, he knew very well in his heart that a person like himself, who can't get on the stage, after all, could not be eligible for the medicine given by Mr. Wade. However, at this moment, he heard that Charlie was going to give this magical medicine to him, and he knelt on the ground without hesitation. "Mr. Wade, I am an illiterate person, Mr. Orville, I don't know how to say beautiful things. From now on, my life will be yours. Even if you let me go up and down the sea of fire, if I frown, hit me with thunder." Boom! Orville was so touched that he couldn't help himself. Kneeling on the ground, he respectfully took the pills from Charlie, excited as if he were treating a peerless treasure. Charlie waved his hand and said, "Okay, take care of me in the future, I will not forget your credit." Orville firmly said, "Mr. Orville will definitely not let you down." When everyone saw that Charlie had given a magical medicine to Orville, the shock in their hearts was beyond words. Although Orville was very impressive in Oris Hill, it was nothing to them, but after such a small character followed Mr. Wade did not hesitate to give the magic medicine. This is how Mr. Wade treats his own people, really is the grace of heaven. He knelt on the ground at the door of the box, crawling on the ground with his knees in front of Charlie, moved in his heart, tears on his face. "Mr. Wade, I really didn't expect you to see me as a small person in your eyes." Mr. Orville was really grateful. Charlie smiled slightly and said, "Mr. Orville, I live in the world, and I look at the character of the other party, not the identity of the other party. You remember classmate Darren, in terms of status, he is inferior to you in the case, in terms of strength. Not as good as your little brother. When he was trapped and was lying in the hospital, he didn't even have the ability to commit suicide, but why should you still help him, save him, and protect him? Because he belongs to me, Charlie's friend, no matter how small he is, I will not let it go." Orville's heart trembled, and he couldn't help being moved to tears. He choked his head and said, "Master Wade, Orville will definitely help you in the future." Charlie handed the medicine to him and said, "If you follow me, you must understand a truth. With my strength, you don't need your heart and soul. As long as you do things for me down to earth, I will surely protect you for a lifetime." In this sentence, Charlie did not say anything. Regarding wealth, what he has is that tens of billions of cash and hundreds of billions of companies already have inexhaustible wealth. In terms of strength, he has the 9 profound heavenly secrets, and his strength is extraordinary. Therefore, as long as Mr. Orville steadfastly follows him, he will naturally not treat Mr. Orville badly. And Charlie's words also made everyone present even more strongly admire and respect Charlie. Let everyone present, deep in their hearts, make up their minds to follow Charlie. Charlie bowed his head all his life. At this time, Solomon White took out a wearable smart bracelet key and said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade, this is the smart bracelet key of the Bugatti Veyron Hermes Special Edition sports car. This car is the one I got from the Oris Hill International Auto Show in advance. Ordered, the auto show officially starts tomorrow, and you can pick up the car. The ordinary Bugatti Veyron is priced at about 26 million, while the Hermes Special Edition is priced at more than 40 million. Before Charlie spoke, Chin Gang hurriedly took out a smart bracelet key and hurriedly said, "What a coincidence, Mr. Wade. I also ordered a sports car for you at the auto show, but I ordered an Aston Martin. Limited Edition 177. Aston Martin's limited edition ONE77 is also priced at 40 million. Unexpectedly, the two of them thought of going together. Solomon White looked at Chin Gang annoyed, and blurted out, "Old Chin, why do you give Mr. Wade a sports car like me? Did you deliberately follow me?" Chin Gang said confidently, "How can I learn from you? I think Mr. Wade should drive the best sports car, so I specifically ordered that Aston Martin." Tian Kai on the side saw that the two of them were giving gifts one after another, and hurriedly took out a sandalwood gift box from his pocket. After opening it, there was a very shiny, colored porcelain wine glass inside. He said to Charlie, "Mr. Wade, this Jinjua Dukai wine glass was handed down from the Ming dynasty, and it is also one of my favorite antiques in my life. I give it to Mr. Wade first today. I hope Mr. Wade will like it." Seeing that all three of them gave out gifts, Warnya, who had received 2 magical medicines, didn't dare to fall behind. She turned her back in a hurry, scribbled a check, and put her hands in front of Charlie, "Mr. Wade, this 100 million check, expressing a little care, please accept it." Charlie didn't expect that these people would unexpectedly meet and give gifts to him. Moreover, the gifts they give are more expensive. Both sports cars are of the 40 million class. The Chinjuadokai wine cups of the Ming dynasty cost at least 50 to 6 million. Warnya directly gave a check for 100 million. However, these are really indifferent things to Charlie. The first is sports cars, which are too public and he doesn't like them very much. Secondly, antiques, too much sophistication, he doesn't like it. As for money, the last thing he lacks is money. However, seeing that these four people were looking forward to it, eager to accept their filial gift, Charlie thought for a moment, but did not refuse, but said indifferently, "Okay, I will accept things you have brought me." Since they want to follow their own saddles and become their own forces, it should be acceptable to accept them. When everyone saw their gifts accepted, they were relieved and all smiled. Charlie casually stuffed a 100 million cash check, 2 smart bracelet keys, and a Chinjuadokai cup into his pocket, and then said lightly, "Well, everyone, let's eat." Everyone hurriedly said, "Eat and feast." At this time, Mr. Orville stood up from the ground and said, "Mr. Wade, I'll go to the door and wait." Charlie nodded, did not leave him. For these people sitting here, Mr. Orville really can't make it to the table. The gangster on the road, no matter how good the gangsters are, they are still gangsters. They themselves are more than the richest of these big families. After dinner, Charlie declined Warnya's request to drive him home and walked home alone. After Warnya thanked him a lot, she drove her limited edition Bentley car and returned to her villa. While holding the steering wheel in one hand, she was holding 2 magical medicines on the other hand, wondering whether she should give both to her grandpa, or just keep one for herself. If she gives it all to grandpa, then this magic medicine will be missed by herself, and she feels a little bit sad. However, if she keeps one on her own terms, if grandpa knows about it in the future, wonder if it will cause trouble? After thinking about it, the desire for magical medicine overcame another thought. She carefully placed the magical medicine in the glove box in the car and decided to hold it first. If she needed it in the future, she would use it. If she doesn't need it, but grandpa needs it, she can take it out again. At that time, she will offer grandfather the magic medicine twice to extend his life. She believes that at that time he will treat her differently. When she returned home, Mr. Song, who was half lying on the sofa, couldn't wait. The last time Charlie came to the house, although he rescued him, he did not improve his system. He is still a little old and sick. After several days of resting, his health is slightly better. But he still needs someone to help him stand or walk on crutches. For an old master who was proud and accomplished a lot in his life, the physical inconvenience became the biggest regret in their old age. And now, he is pinning everything on the magic medicine refined by Mr. Charlie Wade. If granddaughter Warnya can get back the magical medicine and give it to him, he will definitely be able to get rid of the current troubles and regain the feeling of being strong and healthy 10 or 20 years ago. When Warnya came in with a pill of magical medicine, Mr. Song struggled to sit up straight, and asked with some trembling, "Warnya, Mr. Wade gave the medicine." Warnya nodded repeatedly, offered the pill with both hands, and said, "Grandpa, this is the magic medicine that Mr. Wade has refined this time. Take it." "Good, good." Old Master Song said several times excitedly, and then asked, "Has Tian Kai taken it?" "He has taken it." Warnya said, "Mr. Shi took only half of a capsule according to Mr. Wade's instructions, and all the old injuries and stubborn illnesses were cured. It is amazing." As soon as he heard this, Mr. Song became excited and said tremblingly, "It's so amazing and fast. Give me water and I need to take this now." The people around him immediately brought a bowl of tea. The sons and descendants of the Song family stood in front of the old master, waiting to see the moment the miracle was born. The descendants of the Song family now hope that the old master can live for a few more years and can protect these offspring more. Therefore, they also hope that the old master can improve after taking magic medicine. The old master swallowed the pill tremblingly and took it with warm water. After the pill entered the stomach, it immediately turned into a burst of energy, which swept the whole body through all the meridians of the old master. Immediately afterward, the old master felt that his whole body was repeatedly injected with energy, so he tried to stand up without using a cane. The offspring around him was very nervous, for fear that the father would not be able to get up and fall, so everyone was ready to step forward and rescue. However, no one thought that the old master just stood up easily with a slight effort. Without any external force, the old master stood up easily with his legs alone, without shaking at all. Elder Song felt the surging power of his legs, and immediately summoned the courage and walked out. This step is a footprint. No hurry, no tiredness, no panic, no rush, no shaking, no breath. Everyone was amazed. Is this still a dead old master? This is not worse than a middle-aged person in his 50s and 60s. Father Song regained his control over his body and strength. He was so excited that he tried to walk a few steps quickly. It was fast and steady. This made him extremely excited, and he blurted out with a laugh, "It's great! It's great! Mr. Wade is really a god." After that, he turned his head to look at Warnya, and said seriously, "Warnya, if you can get a good son-in-law like Mr. Wade, I can live to at least 100 years old, your father, your uncle, yourself and your brother. Sisters, it's possible to live 100 years. Once a family can live 100 years old for 3 consecutive generations, this is simply a godlike family, and no one can shake it." Warnya had been shocked. Grandpa was a person who was going to die, and was saved by Charlie, but after he was saved, Grandpa was also very excited. But now, Charlie's magical medicine made grandfather seem to be 20 years younger in an instant. Now, he believes he will live for another 20 years. By then, he will really become a centenarian. How many centenarians can there be in the world? Very few. And if the sole figure of a big family can live beyond 100 years, it is simply the family's greatest fortune, because the family can only develop and grow in the hands of the sole figure. Once the sole figure dies, it will immediately fall into the infighting of a group of dragons without a leader. You are fighting for me. How many families are in decline is caused by the death of sole characters and the renunciation of family descendants. Now Charlie will continue the prosperity of the Song family for at least 2 decades. This night, the family members who got the magic medicine could not sleep all night. Warnya, who witnessed the miracle happening to Grandpa with her own eyes, was also very excited. Thinking of the magic medicine that Mr. Wade had quietly given to her, a strong warm current surged in her heart. Mr. Wade treats her so well, this kindness is unforgettable. Same as her, who fell into insomnia because of thinking about Charlie, and Aoxu, the little pepper of the Qin family. After her father Qin Gang got the 2 magical medicines, he immediately gave her one as soon as he returned home and told her to hide it next to her body. Now, this pill was stored close to her body, with her body temperature and fragrance on it. The thought that this was given by Charlie to her made her happy and almost drunk. And Charlie, as the big man behind all this, is still lying on the floor next to his wife's bed and continues to sleep particularly sweetly as his son-in-law. Early the next morning, Claire went to the studio. After so many days of preparation, her studio is said to have begun to take shape and is ready to officially open. Charlie wanted to help her, but she only wanted to build her own business with her own hands. Charlie understands her feelings. Since leaving the Wilson family, she has been thinking about how to prove herself and can't let the Wilson family look down upon her. Well-dressed Charlie was about to go out to buy groceries and found that his pockets were bulging, which reminded him of the gifts everyone gave him yesterday. 2 smart keys for luxury cars, a Ming Chao Chinjua Dukai wine glass, and a check for 100 million. The Dukai cup was placed in a sandalwood box, which was relatively large, so he simply put the box together in his own small closet. As for the car bracelet and check, he originally wanted to put it in the cabinet, but after thinking about it carefully he gives up the idea. Mother-in-law, she likes to come to the room to churn around when she has nothing to do. Last time Qin Gang gave him a jade bracelet, but his wife didn't wear it before she went along. If she finds the check of 100 million and the smart keys of 2 luxury cars, she will definitely take it for herself. More importantly, if she finds out, he can't explain it at all. This 100 million check alone was enough to scare her to death 3 times. So Charlie left the smart bracelet and check in his pocket and went out to the vegetable market. On the way, Qin Gang called him, and after a few greetings, he asked carefully, "Mr. Wade, do you still like the sports car given to you?" "Oh," Charlie remembered suddenly, and said, "I haven't seen it yet." Qin Gang said hurriedly and respectfully, "The car is at the Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center. The International Auto Show is now underway. If it is not inconvenient for you to go there, I can send someone to the house in a transporter." Charlie said, "Forget it, don't send to the house anymore, I'll take the time to check it out." The community he lives in is very ordinary, and a house is worth 2 or 3 million. If 2 sports cars worth more than 40 million are suddenly parked, the entire community is estimated to be fried. Therefore, he thought about parking the car first at Thompson's villa, where the villa has a private basement, and parking in the basement is more worry-free. When he arrived at the vegetable market, Charlie received a call from Darren, a good university brother. On the phone, Darren asked, "Charlie, where are you?" Charlie said, "I'm shopping at the vegetable market. What's wrong, Darren? Are you looking for me?" Darren hesitated a little and said, "My dear, I came to the Oris Hill International Auto Show today." Charlie knew that he was a car fan, and his favorite thing was cars. When he was in college, he used to save a month of living expenses and went to other cities to watch the auto show. So he smiled and asked, "Did you go to see the car again?" "Yes." Darren said, This time there are several world-class limited edition sports cars coming to the exhibition. It is very rare to see them." As he said, Darren hurriedly said, "Oh, I didn't ask you to talk about this." Charlie asked, "Then what are you looking for?" Darren hesitated for a moment, and then said, "That's it, I saw it at the auto show." "My wife?" Charlie asked in surprise, "What did she go to the auto show?" "I don't know either." Darren said, "She is with a man, so I called to ask if you know this." Charlie frowned. Claire went to the auto show with a man? Why didn't he listen to her? Although the two of them don't communicate much, they will still tell each other about some things. She went to the auto show with a man. She didn't talk about it to him. Is there anything hidden? Although Charlie is the Wade family young Mr. and Mr. Wade in the eyes of Oris Hill big men, he still lacks confidence in his relationship with Claire. He was also worried that Claire might be tempted outside, so he said to Darren, "I know Darren, thank you." Darren said, "Charlie, my mother called me just now and told me that something happened at home and asked me to go back. You should come and have a look." "Okay." Charlie said, "I'll go and have a look later, you should be busy first." After hanging up the phone, Charlie parked the electric bike on the side of the road and took a taxi to Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center. The Convention and Exhibition Center is a large-scale real estate project that specializes in undertaking various exhibitions. Basically, large-scale exhibitions in Oris Hill are held here. Charlie entered the exhibition hall, and when he looked around, he was surrounded by ordinary citizens watching the auto show, and the surrounding platforms were also full of luxury cars. Here, the starting point is the imported luxury cars such as the Audi A8, including luxury sports cars such as Lamborghini and Ferrari. In the center of the exhibition hall, on the highest platform, there is one red and one black. A top luxury sports car. These two cars were the ones that Solomon White and Sheen Gang gave to Charlie. An Aston Martin ONE77, a Bugatti Veyron Hermes Special Edition. These two cars are also the two super luxury cars at the finale of the entire auto show. The surroundings of the two cars are almost surrounded by audiences and reporters. Besides the two cars, there were two strong and mighty security guards. The security guards turned their backs to the two luxury cars and formed a circle facing the crowd so that the crowd could not touch the cars. The host is introducing, saying, "These two cars have already been ordered away. They are personal items. You can watch and take photos, but you can't touch them. Thank you for your cooperation." A reporter couldn't help asking loudly, "The auto show has just started, and both cars have been booked? If it is not convenient to reveal, who are these two rich men?" The host smiled slightly and said, "It's not two rich men, but one rich man." "One?" the reporter exclaimed. "Could it be that two cars were bought by one person?" "Yes." The host nodded and said with a smile, "These two cars are indeed owned by the same rich man." The host's words left everyone stunned. Both of these are the world's top luxury cars. It is rare to see them in normal times. There are not even a few in China, so they were bought by the same person in advance? You know, this level of a luxury car cannot be bought simply by money. Aston Martin's ONE77 is only open to members of the Aston brand, and the buyer must have 3 or more Aston Martin sports cars worth more than 10 million in order to be eligible for purchase. This is the only way to qualify. This car is limited in the world. There are only 77 cars in more than 200 countries around the world. There is not even one in China. The Bugatti Veyron Hermes Special Edition sports car is more difficult to purchase because Bugatti itself serves the world's top rich. Coupled with Hermes joint customization, it is simply expensive. These 2 cars were actually bought by the same person, which shows that this person's identity and status are astonishingly powerful. However, Charlie's eyes were not on these 2 cars. He was looking for Claire's figure everywhere in the crowd. When he repeatedly searched for a long time and couldn't find her, he suddenly heard a man next to him say, "Claire, come and take a look at these 2 cars. These 2 cars are really the best in the world, even I have never seen them." Charlie turned his head when he heard the sound, and saw Claire, a man and a woman still following her. The men's suits and leather shoes looked greasy, while the women's clothes were cool and slim, but they were far worse than Claire's. At this time, Claire was following the person, smiling slightly, and said, "Manager Gao Junwei, I don't have much research on cars." The person called Mr. Gao Junwei laughed and said, "I have a deep research on cars. After all, our convention and exhibition center often undertakes some auto show activities." Seeing that Claire was keeping a normal distance with the other party, and also called the other party's manager Gao Junwei, he guessed that she might be out to talk about cooperation, and he was suddenly relieved. Since his wife is here to talk about cooperation, if she finds out at this time, he might be misunderstood by her, so Charlie is ready to take the opportunity to slip away. Unexpectedly, as soon as Claire raised her head, Claire glanced at him and asked in surprise, "Charlie, why are you here?" Charlie didn't expect to be discovered by Claire, and hurriedly said, "I have come to see and meet the world. Wife, why are you here?" Claire nodded and didn't think much about it. She explained to Charlie, Mr. Gao Junwei beside her, and said, "Charlie, let me introduce to you. This is Mr. Gao Junwei from the Gao family. Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center is theirs. The home industry, they were one of the partners of the Wilson Group before, and now their cooperation with the Wilson Group has stopped. It just happens that the exhibition hall of the Convention and Exhibition Center will be renovated in 2 days, so they invited me to talk about cooperation." With that, Claire introduced the woman next to Gao Junwei to Charlie again, and said, "By the way, this is Wan Jones, my former high school classmate, now she is the secretary of Mr. Gao." At this time, Wan glanced at Charlie with surprise and said, "Claire, I heard from our high school classmates that you hired a very useless live-in son-in-law, and it turned out to be him kind of you." Gao Junwei smiled faintly, watching Charlie's eyes flashed with hostility, but then he hid it well. He had always thought about Claire and knew Charlie's existence, but he had never seen it before. Knowing that the person in front of him is Claire's useless husband, Gao Junwei looked at Charlie and asked curiously, "I don't know where Mr. Charlie is now." Charlie said lightly, "I am a vagrant now." Wan said in disdain, "Isn't that just for soft rice?" Gao Junwei's eyes also flashed a trace of disdain. When Claire was still in the Wilson Group, he had a good impression of Claire. Now he heard that Claire started her own business, so he deliberately found Claire. He threw out an order for the renovation of the exhibition center and invited her over. Thinking of having to establish an image in front of Claire, he looked at Charlie and smiled slightly. "Charlie, in fact, you shouldn't be here today. Those who came to participate in the auto show today are all famous figures in Oris Hill City. You just came here to embarrass Claire." Claire's face immediately became ugly when she heard this. She didn't expect Gao Junwei to ridicule Charlie, so she was naturally a little unhappy. However, before Claire could speak, Charlie's eyes became cold, and he said lightly, "Is this kind of exhibition really awesome? I wouldn't come if it wasn't for my car here." "Your car is here? You don't look at your identity." Juan yelled contemptuously from the side, and said, "Don't you know that the luxury cars on display here start at $1 million? I think you can't even afford a wheel off them." Gao Junwei was even more disdainful of Charlie, and said proudly, "Charlie, I know that your kind of live-in son-in-law's mind is to eat soft rice. You want to have a little face, so you want Claire to buy it for you. Right?" Claire said with a cold face, "Manager Gao Junwei, Charlie doesn't need me to buy a car for him. Charlie bought me the car I drive." Gao Junwei was taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect that Charlie could still afford a car to give it to Claire. Juan looked at Charlie and laughed disdainfully, then sneered, "Is it possible that you can get off the car?" After finishing speaking, she turned to Claire and asked, "Claire, what car did your husband give you? Could it be Cherry QQ?" Claire said, "Charlie bought 2 cars in total, one is the BMW 520 for me and the other is the BMW 530 for my father." Juan said in a weird manner, "Yeah, I didn't expect your husband to have money." Gao Junwei shook his head and smiled contemptuously, "BMW 520? This kind of car is driven by a subordinate in our house. How can it be matched with Claire?" Immediately, he looked at Charlie and said coldly, "Charlie, a BMW 520 is very cheap. If you take a loan, the down payment is only 100,000, but the luxury cars here are all millions. You buy a great luxury car, the BMW 5 Series is not eligible to enter at all. The last time is the BMW 740. Moreover, at this auto show, there are also 2 top luxury sports cars in the world. You can open your eyes this time." Charlie smiled indifferently, pointed to the 2 top luxury cars on the platform, and asked, "You said that these are all luxury cars that I can't afford. Then I ask you, these 2 top luxury sports cars in the world, you can buy them. Are you up?" Gao Junwei sneered, "In this exhibition hall, except for these 2 cars, I can afford every other car. What about you? Rag like you, I see you go wherever you want, but you can't afford one." After Gao Junwei disparaged Charlie, he turned around and said to Claire, "Claire, I attach great importance to our cooperation this time. In order to express my sincerity, except for the 2 in the middle of this auto show, you pick anyone. It's time to replace your junk BMW 520. How about the Audi RS8? It's equipped with nearly 2 million tops. It's powerful and it matches you very well." Gao Junwei has been coveting Claire for a long time. This time he invited Claire to come over. He wanted to use the money to win Claire in the name of renovating the auto show center. Juan has always known that Gao Junwei has thoughts about Claire, so she hurriedly said to the side, "Claire, this is what our President Gao thinks of you. You must not refuse." Claire quickly refused, "Thank you, Mr. Gao Junwei, for your kindness, but the gift is too expensive, I can't ask for it." Gao Junwei laughed and said, "It is just 2 million for Audi RS8s. This little money is nothing to me. As long as you like it at first, I will buy it all for you now." Charlie looked at Gao Junwei coldly and said lightly, "No, we have a car at home, so you don't need to buy it. Besides, it won't be your turn to send it. Only you." Gao Junwei said disdainfully, "It's not that I despise you, which car did you say?" Charlie looked at him playfully, pointed at the two Aston Martin ONE77s and the limited edition Bugatti Veyron on the stage, and said with a smile, "How about the two you can't afford?" Grass. Gao Junwei thought that Charlie deliberately ridiculed that he could not afford such an expensive car, and said coldly, "Boy, don't be too arrogant, I have already said that, except for these two cars in the exhibition hall today, everything I can send all the cars, can you?" Charlie said, "I also said, I will give these two cars if I want to give them away." Ha 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 ha. Gao Junwei smiled and blurted out, "Do you know what kind of car it is? Open your mouth and blow it. It's not that I look down on you, these two cars are guarded by security guards, you can even not touch the wire, let alone buy them." Charlie smiled and said, "I don't think it's you who can't really touch it, right?" Gao Junwei sneered, "The convention and exhibition center belongs to my family. The managers of these two companies have to give me a face. If I want to touch this car, I won't be able to touch it." Charlie shrugged and said, "I think you are no different from me. I can't touch it, and you can't touch it. We are actually the same." Gao Junwei immediately exploded when he heard this, and gritted his teeth, and said, "Are you worthy of being compared with me?" Charlie nodded, and said, "Of course I am. I said, there is no difference between us. If you don't believe me, try it." "Okay." Gao Junwei was about to be imminent by Charlie's violent general method at this time, and said coldly, "You wait, I will touch it for you." After that, he stepped towards the crowd. Charlie's expression was a bit chilly at this time. Qin Gang and Solomon White gave their two cars to him. According to them, they both hired security guards from the cash transport company. In order to absolutely ensure that no one else is allowed to touch these two cars before Charlie has started. If Gao Junwei really touched the two cars today, then he would go to the two people to settle the accounts, and at least he would have to punish them for an unfavorable crime. But what if Gao Junwei touches it? When he touched it and showed himself, he took out his bracelet and sat in to see what his expression would look like when he sees it. Gao Junwei stepped away from the crowd in front of the car at this time. Then he went to the security guard and said, "Hey there, I am the Deputy General Manager of the Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center. I would like to appreciate these two cars." "No." One of the security guards who joined the cash transport company after retiring from the army said very firmly at this time, "Our leader has an order, except for the owner of the car, no one is allowed to approach." Gao Junwei's face couldn't hold back. "I really can't touch it?" This is too shameless, right? You know this is our showroom. If I can't touch these 2 cars, isn't it really the same as Charlie's the stinky rag? No, he can't lose the face if he says anything. Gao Junwei suppressed the irritation in his heart and said to the security guard in a good voice, "Man, I am also a car lover. Give me convenience. I will not treat you badly in the future." After all, the security guard is a veteran with an upright personality, so he sternly refused, "This, sir, I will tell you again, if you are not the owner of the car, you are never allowed to approach this car for half a step." Seeing that the other party always doesn't give him face, Gao Junwei immediately became anxious, and gritted his teeth, and threatened, "The entire exhibition center belongs to my house. You, a security guard, dare to confront me, don't you want to get mixed up?" The other party said lightly, "I'm sorry, I'm the security guard of Ultimate Banknote Company, not the security guard of Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center. Even if you are the boss of Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center, you have no right to control me. You." Gao Junwei became angry from embarrassment and said, "You are shameless." After that, Gao Junwei immediately yelled, "Believe it or not, I will let you get out of my convention and exhibition center now." The other side said blankly, "We have signed a contract with your stadium, and we rented this place today, so you have no right to let me out. Moreover, my job is to protect this car. Do you have any other opinions? You can talk to our leader." Charlie walked up to Gao Junwei at this time and smiled and asked, "Oh, Mr. Gao, what's the matter? Is it because people don't let you touch it like this? Hey, it's a shame." Gao Junwei glared at Charlie, then glanced at Claire again, blushing like a monkey butt0cks. He uttered a rant, but now the other security guard really doesn't give him a bit of face, and he doesn't even give him the opportunity to touch these 2 cars. It's simply a shame. Seeing Gao Junwei's frustration, Wan couldn't help but help him return to Charlie and said, "What are you so stinky with us? Believe it or not, I'll let the security guard drive you out." At this time, a reporter holding a camera said to Gao Junwei, "Hey friend, if people don't let you touch the cars, please don't mess around here, we are all affected by you when we take pictures." Others also echoed, "Yes, it is such an expensive car, do you think it is easy to touch? Just look at it. I think he just wants to touch it, take a picture and send it to Moments. I have seen a lot of such." Gao Junwei's expression became extremely ugly. If he couldn't go over and touch these 2 cars, wouldn't he, like Charlie, become a stinky thread in everyone's eyes? Thinking of this, he darkened his face and said to the security guard, "I'll give you 30 seconds. If you still block my way, I will drive all of your people and cars out, and you won't have to do any car shows anymore at my place." Done. At this time, a manager dressed in a suit heard the quarrel here and hurried over. Behind him followed a group of sturdy guys dressed up as bodyguards, all with stubborn eyes and stubble. "What happened? Who is making noise here?" Gao Junwei saw the manager and said arrogantly, "Are you the person in charge here?" "Yes." The man nodded and said, "I am the executive manager of the exhibition, Limo, who are you?" Gao Junwei snorted coldly and said, "I am Gao Junwei from the Convention and Exhibition Center." Limo said lightly. It turned out to be Mr. Gao. I don't know if Mr. Gao is noisy here, what's the matter? Gao Junwei said coldly, your subordinates are too good at doing things. I want to go up and take a closer look at the two cars, but he didn't let me get on. What does this mean? Isn't this like looking down on me? Limo smiled slightly and said, sorry, Mr. Gao Junwei, these two cars have already been bought by customers, and now we are waiting for them to pick up the cars. We also explained that these two cars are too noble. No one except the owner can't touch. Gao Junwei frowned and asked, that's not giving me face. I'm sorry. Limo defaulted and said, it is not about giving a face to anyone, let alone Mr. Gao, even if it is the King of Heaven, he can't touch these two cars as long as he is not the owner of the car. Gao Junwei almost deceived, in front of so many people, especially Claire, who is still here, she can say, he has no respect here, right? It is good. Then don't blame me for being crazy. So he immediately shouted angrily, okay. Since you are so powerful, then the temple of our convention and exhibition center is too small to accommodate you, so I ask you to clear the place and leave. Limo said, Mr. Gao Junwei, this is too much. We have signed the lease contract after all, and we have already paid the money. How can you break the contract? What about breaking the contract? Gao Junwei said annoyed, I would rather pay you liquidated damages and drive you dogs out. Wan hurried to persuade him at this time and whispered, Mr. Gao Junwei, if we breach the contract, the penalty will be 3 times the total amount. If it gets to the chairman, he will definitely be angry. At this moment, Gao Junwei was stunned again. Charlie looked very happy on the side, laughed, and said, Manager Gao Junwei, in your status, you can't touch these two cars yet. Is it so difficult to touch them? Oh, being the boss of this convention and exhibition center, what a shame for you. Gao Junwei said angrily, who told you I can't touch it? After finishing speaking, he turned his face and pushed Limo away directly, and said coldly, I will touch this car today, don't come over and ask for trouble if you don't want to die, or I will call someone and immediately kill you. Seeing Gao Junwei rush to the Aston Martin Limited Edition ONE77, Limo was a little anxious, he hurriedly called the security guard to stop him. Gao Junwei did not expect that a few smelly security guards would really stop him, and immediately shouted, the security guards in the exhibition center will come over to me. These security guards are all from outside, but there are many security guards in the exhibition center itself, and the number of them is not less than the other party. See who is afraid of whom? Limo saw a few security guards from the convention and exhibition center running over, and there might be a conflict, so he quickly called Qin Gang. Mr. Qin, Mr. Gao Junwei from the Oris Hill Convention and Exhibition Center has to touch that Aston Martin ONE77. It is about to embroil into a fight now, what should I do? Qin Gang was shocked and blurted out, that car was given to Mr. Wade. I don't care about the tall and short young sons, except Mr. Wade, whoever dares to touch the car, let the security guard give him his hand. Limo hurriedly said, Mr. Qin, Oris Hill Convention, an exhibition center belongs to the Gao family. Isn't it a bit too much to do this? The Gao family is a bullshit. Qin Gang shouted violently, the Gao family is not even a bullshit in my eyes. I tell you, as long as the kid gets his finger on the car I bought, you better get out of Oris Hill and never let me see you again. Qin Gang only got 2 magical medicines from Charlie yesterday. He didn't fall asleep all night with excitement. Suddenly he heard that someone dared to touch the car he bought for Mr. Wade. Wasn't this his mother looking for death? The strength of the Gao family was far below that of the Qin family. What's more, behind Qin Gang there was a big god like Mr. Wade, the little Gao Junwei. He didn't even see him as worthy of his worries. Hearing this, Limo's heart shuddered, and then looked up and found that Gao Junwei had already taken a few security guards, choking with the security guards hired by him. Gao Junwei is still so arrogant and coldly said, "If you don't get out of the way, I will let people do it." Limo's hands were shaking in anger. Do you really treat these security guards as decorations? These are usually masters of escorting money transport trucks. How can you compare them to the security guards at the gates? In addition, he had just received instructions from Qin Gang, and he was afraid that the 2 cars might have gone wrong, so he pointed to Gao Junwei and ordered the security guard he hired, "Give me something to face. We will fight. Fight fiercely. If he's killed, President White will cover us." The security guard of the banknote transportation company could not bear Gao Junwei's bad attitude for a long time. He was holding back his energy to teach him a lesson. Upon hearing Limo's order, he was immediately beaten up. The headed security guard shouted, "You deserve this." After that, he slapped Gao Junwei's face directly and cursed, "I wanted to hit you a long time ago." Gao Junwei was slapped with a slap in the face and stared to the roof, and shouted sternly, "This is the roof of my Gao family, you dare to hit me? You uncle!" The veteran security guard immediately raised his foot and kicked Gao Junwei's waist fiercely. With this strong foot, he kicked Gao Junwei directly, clutching his stomach and rolling him on the ground. The security guards of several other convention and exhibition centers were not rivals at all in front of the security of the cash transport company. After a while, they were all beaten up and down. Wan rushed to Gao Junwei, protecting him, and angrily cursed, "You guys are looking for death, right? You are over. Dare to beat our Mr. Gao? The Gao family will not let you go." Limo said coldly, "The Gao family? Tell you, this car was bought by the owner of the Qin family. He said since your Gao family dares to ask for something, your mother who dares to fight doesn't even know you." Qin family Wan heard this, she was dumbfounded. Gao Junwei was lying on the ground in pain, panic in his heart. Qin family? The Qin family is in Oris Hill, but it is a big family second only to the Song family. Moreover, the relationship between the Qin family and the Song family seems to have always been good. In contrast, the Gao family is nothing more than operating a convention and exhibition center, which is more than 10,000 miles away. How can it trouble the Qin family? Gao Junwei ignored the whole body pain, and said apologetically, I'm sorry. I really didn't know this is the car Qin bought. I'm sorry, I have no eyes." Gao Junwei was frightened at this time, but he almost wanted to kill in his heart. He was beaten in his home convention and exhibition center, and he had to kneel down and apologize to the person who beat him. More importantly, he was beaten in front of Claire. This was the greatest humiliation he has encountered in life. However, he couldn't afford to provoke the Chin family, so he could only move his anger to Charlie in his heart. He felt that it was Charlie the stinky silk that made him have to touch the car. As a result, he was beaten and embarrassed in front of Claire. This hatred must be reported by himself. At this moment, Limo saw that he was still acquainted, so he said to the people around him, "Okay, don't fight." The security guards of a group of cash transport companies gave up, but the security guards of the convention and exhibition center have been beaten and rolled all over the floor. Charlie stood by, looking at Gao Junwei, who was embarrassed on the ground with a scornful face, and asked with a smile, "Mr. Gao, it seems that these two cars, you really can't even touch it." Gao Junwei hated the tickle of his teeth, but he didn't expect that he would dare to provoke him, and he suddenly cursed with a gloomy expression, "Charlie, you made me ashamed today, I will definitely not forgive you." Charlie smiled and said, "What? Am I wrong?" After speaking, Charlie asked Claire next to him again, "Wife, am I right?" Claire was a little embarrassed at this time. Just now Gao Junwei constantly ridiculed Charlie. She was indeed a little annoyed in her heart, but she did not expect things to turn into this. The reason why she didn't get angry with Gao Junwei just now was mainly because she wanted to talk about the cooperation of the exhibition center. However, seeing Gao Junwei's true appearance revealed, she also felt a little disgust in her heart, so she looked at him and said seriously, "Gao Junwei, this matter itself is your provocation first. It is you that conflicted with others and was beaten. What does it have to do with Charlie? I hope you can tell right from wrong and not trouble him." Gao Junwei noticed that Claire looked down on him a little, and was full of resentment. He stared at Charlie and gritted his teeth and said, "Smelly rag, you wait for me." Charlie looked at him in surprise, "What do you call me?" Gao Junwei scolded angrily, "I call you stinky pauper. Are you deaf?" Wan, who was next to him, also added fuel and jealousy, and yelled, "Charlie, you son-in-law who eats soft rice, you are praised for asking you to hang silk." Charlie was not angry, and smiled and said, "You said that I am pauper, but you can't even touch the sides of these two cars, and you were beaten by so many people. Who is rag now?" There was a burst of laughter from the crowd watching. Gao Junwei's face is extremely ugly, gritted his teeth and said, "It's as if you can touch it. There is a kind of thing you can touch one and show me." When he said this, Gao Junwei was thinking of giving Charlie a stimulating method. If he gets fooled and touches these two cars, he must be beaten violently. If he is not fooled, just admitting the council in front of everyone, then he can save a little bit of face. However, he didn't expect Charlie to say calmly at this time, "What's the point of a light touch? Would you like me to take a test drive to show you?" "Ha ha ha!" Gao Jun sneered in a great voice, "Test drive? Your stinky rag is also worth of test drive of such an expensive car? You can touch the doorknob, I count you as winning today." Gao Junwei felt that Limo had so many people guarding here anyway, if Charlie wanted to touch it, he would definitely be beaten like himself. Charlie smiled slightly, pointed to the Aston Martin ONE77 in front of him, and asked Claire, "My wife, do you want to take this car for a drive? If you want, I'll take you there." Claire hurriedly pulled him and said in a low voice, "Charlie, Don't mess around, can't you see Gao Junwei's end? At this time, Gao Junwei struggled to stand up and sneered, Charlie, what are you doing with her? Do you know how awesome this car is? There are only 77 cars in the world, and there is no market. Even my dad hasn't been in this car before, do you still want to ride in this car? Charlie shrugged and said, it's my own car, can't I sit in it for a ride? Gao Junwei laughed angrily, Charlie, the more you pretend, the more addicted you are, right? You don't take a piss and take pictures of yourself. You are Harry, what qualifications to ride in this car? Juan also said disdainfully, Claire, it's really hard for you to marry such a boastful and non-draft rubbish. Claire's face was very helpless, and the gaze looking at Charlie was also a little disappointed. Is this guy's brain broken when he says such inconsequential words on this occasion? Charlie didn't bother to explain, took out 2 wearable bracelet keys from his pocket, held them in his hand, shook Limo, who was in charge of the auto show, and said lightly, do you recognize these 2 things? When Limo saw the smart bracelet key that Charlie took out, he was completely confused. Thinking of what Qin Gang said on the phone, he suddenly snorted. Could this young man be Mr. Charlie, Mr. Wade? Correct. It seems to call him Charlie. So he hurriedly bowed deeply and said humbly, hello Mr. Wade. Limo salutes Mr. Wade and has seen Mr. Wade. After finishing speaking, he hurriedly flashed over, pointed at the 2 supercars behind, respectfully said, Mr. Wade, your 2 cars are ready, you can drive away at any time. If you don't want to drive, we can help you transport them home. Everyone around was stunned. Gao Junwei's eyes were about to fall to the ground, but Juan was shocked. Even Gao Junwei dared to hit someone who saw Charlie bow and salute like a grandson, and called him Mr. Wade? What is even more incredible is that, according to what he meant, these 2 supercars belonged to Charlie. What exactly is going on? Claire was also dumbfounded, and for a while, she didn't understand what happened. However, thinking that Solomon White had given Charlie a big villa, she suddenly guessed the outline in her heart. This Charlie must have gone to show feng shui to the rich again and fool others. At this time, Gao Junwei hurriedly said to Limo, Manager Limo, you must be mistaken. This person is Charlie, a well-known poor son-in-law of the Oris Hill Wilson family, not a Master Wade at all. Juan also looked at the manager flatly and blurted out, Manager, look at Charlie, who is so poor, how can he be like someone who can afford such an expensive sports car? Maybe, he brought counterfeit keys and dared to come to the auto show and pretend to be forced, you must not be fooled by him. Charlie snorted and took Claire, who was silly on the spot, and walked towards the Aston Martin ONE77. The security guard who wanted to protect the car to the death and prevent it from being touched by other people just now, seeing Limo being so polite to Charlie, naturally gave way. Charlie took Claire's hand and walked to the driving position of the Aston Martin ONE77. The bracelet just approached the door and a beep was heard. Immediately afterward, the car lights like shark eyes lit up instantly. The LCD screen and ambient light in the car also light up at the same time. Aston Martin 177's iconic pair of scissor doors rose up automatically. When Charlie unlocked the Aston Martin ONE77 with the smart bracelet, everyone at the scene was shocked. Everyone exclaimed in their hearts, "This Aston Martin ONE77 is really Charlie's." Gao Junwei is also dumbfounded. What is the situation? Isn't Charlie a pauper son-in-law? How could he afford such an expensive car? Wan was even more stunned. This is incredible. Can this man who eats leftovers can afford an Aston Martin 177? At this time, Charlie led her to the front of the co-pilot, and said with a smile, "My wife, get in the car, I'll take you around." Claire asked with a puzzled face, "Is this car really yours?" Charlie nodded, "Of course, the key is here. Can your husband lie to you?" After speaking, Charlie hurriedly whispered in her ear, "Wife, Qin Gang actually lent this car to me to check out. He said it was for me to experience it. I deliberately pretended to force Gao Junwei just now." Charlie himself is not very interested in these too much publicity cars. Today, if it weren't for Darren's words to see his wife here, he wouldn't even bother to come and collect these 2 cars. Moreover, he also knows his wife's personality. She is absolutely unwilling to drive such a car on a daily basis, which is too public. So, he made up such a lie, and after taking his wife to experience it, he drove the car back and handed the 2 cars to that limo for safekeeping. Claire suddenly realized it, and at the same time, she was relieved. She was really afraid that Charlie would continue to lie to the big men, and the more they lied, the more they would get into trouble. Since someone else lent him the car to experience it, then she doesn't have to worry so much. Thinking of this, she felt a lot more relaxed, and she was also full of curiosity about this Aston Martin ONE77. Although Claire is not a vain woman, she still wants to sit in and experience such a top sports car. So, she bent down gently and sat in this super luxurious Aston Martin ONE77. Charlie didn't sit in anxiously, but looked at the dumbfounded Gao Junwei and Wan, and said with a sneer, "Pauper is a pauper. Go back and make more money before you come out to pretend to be embarrassingly rich." After speaking, they were too lazy to take care of the sauce-stained expressions of the 2, and sat in the luxury sports car and pressed the engine start switch. In a short time, the super sports car's powerful engine roared throughout the exhibition hall. Claire had never driven a luxury car of this level. She sat in the driving position, swallowed hard, held the steering wheel excitedly, and started the car. The top luxury car Aston Martin ONE77 slowly started in the sight of everyone, drove down the slope on the other side of the booth, and then drove directly out of the exhibition hall. The powerful aura immediately caused a sensation. Gao Junwei was completely confused. Is this car really such a waste? What is the situation? Wan also had a pale face. If both cars belonged to Charlie, didn't she offend him a lot just now? She couldn't help but get it. This is impossible. Isn't he the rubbish son-in-law of the Wilson family? Where did he get the car key? Gao Junwei could not accept life and death. Charlie could really afford this Aston Martin ONE77, so he gritted his teeth and said, "That hanging wire must have a stolen car key." When the manager limo heard this, he was very angry. These 2 fools, dare to insult Mr. Wade? Just looking for death. He turned his head to look at Gao Junwei and Wan, and yelled angrily, "You have offended Mr. Wade, and dare to bark here." With that said, he directly ordered the bodyguard, "Hit him hard." Gao Junwei was knocked to the ground with 3 punches and 2 kicks by the bodyguard. He was immediately caught by his hair and beaten desperately on the face. He soon became a pig head. Wan was also beaten with disheveled hair, and her mouth was crooked, and Gao Junwei also limped in pain. After beating the two, Limo directly let them be thrown out of the exhibition hall. Gao Junwei lay on the concrete floor, shouting angrily, "Who is this Charlie?" Wan said angrily, "He is just a son-in-law, I think he is a driver at most, and it is impossible to be Mr. Wade." Gao Junwei was beaten with blood foam in his mouth, and said, "Smelly rag, I will never let him go." After speaking, he had a cold expression, gritted his teeth, and said, "And Claire? Don't even want to escape from my palm." Here, Aston Martin ONE77 has left the convention center. The super-luxurious sports car has aroused the close attention of countless people on the street. It was the first time to ride an Aston Martin ONE77, Claire found it very novel. After all, it is the world's top supercar, and almost all young people hope to have the opportunity to experience it. However, Claire's curiosity about it was just a taste of it. Before Charlie drove far, Claire said to him, "Let's drive the car back, don't cause problems for Qin Gang." Charlie said, "What are you afraid of? Mr. Qin Gang is a good person." "That's not appropriate." Claire said seriously, "Anyway, we have already experienced it. Let's return the car and go home." Seeing her persistence, Charlie nodded gently. Immediately, he drove the car back to the exhibition hall and parked on the booth. As soon as he got out of the car, Limo respectfully greeted him and asked him, "Mr. Wade, how do you feel? Are you satisfied?" Charlie nodded and said in a low voice, "First, find a place for me to store these 2 cars, and I will ask you to get them later when I need them." Limo didn't dare to ask too much, and nodded hurriedly, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, I will help you keep them safe." Charlie smiled with satisfaction and said, "Then I will leave now." "Mr. Wade, I'll give it to you." "No need." On the way back, Claire couldn't help sighing, "I originally said that I would try to negotiate the list of the convention and exhibition center, and by the way, I would have liked to invite them to the opening ceremony tomorrow. Now it's gone again." Charlie asked curiously, "My wife, is your studio ready to officially announce the opening?" "Yes." Claire said, "After so many days of preparation, it is almost ready to officially open." Speaking of this, Claire said sadly, "It's a pity, I can't invite anyone with a reputation to come to join me. I only invite a few classmates, and then you and your parents will come as well." Charlie nodded, but thought in his heart, "Can't find anyone with a big face to join her? Husband will help you find one." Emigrant Group Mrs. Doris, Miss Song Family Warnya, Qin Family Patriarch Qin Gang, White Family Patriarch Solomon White, Underground King Orville, and Treasure Pavilion's Mr. Bayo Fungui. He knows a lot of big people who are among the best in Oris Hill, and they all are at the beck and call of Mr. Wade. Then, as long as he gives an order, they will come over and take care of his wife's business by the way. The wife's studio will surely make a sensation in Oris Hill." Thinking of this, he immediately edited a message and sent in a group to these people on WeChat, "My wife's studio will open tomorrow morning. Please take the time to come over and join us." The address is. After WeChat was sent, Charlie kept receiving all kinds of replies. The first reply was Warnya, Mr. Wade, don't worry, I will come to congratulate you tomorrow. Then Chin Gang said, thank you for the invitation Mr. Wade, and I will definitely come and join tomorrow. Solomon White said, Mr. Wade, I will bring in my nephew to congratulate you tomorrow. By the way, let these two little rascals face you in repentance. Everyone was excited about Charlie's invitation, thinking it was a good opportunity to get closer to Mr. Wade. Claire originally had some regrets about the opening ceremony tomorrow, but never thought that her husband had already prepared a grand show for her. Back home, Claire washed and rested early, preparing for the opening ceremony tomorrow morning. Charlie also slept very early, and he was thinking about how to make his wife the most concerned woman in Oris Hill tomorrow. The next day. Today is Claire's scheduled opening day. Because she didn't have much money and was just starting out, Claire rented the company's office address in the slightly remote Wingstar building. Although the Wingstar building is the property of a subsidiary of the Emgrand Group, it is really not worth mentioning. The Emgrand Group generally does not bother to operate it on its own, so it is leased to some intermediary companies. Originally, Charlie wanted to say something to Doris, asking her to vacate one of the floors of the Wingstar building directly for his wife as a studio address. But thinking about it, he was afraid of explaining it to Claire, so she let her spend her own money to rent a small office. Claire and Charlie stood at the door of the office at this time, waiting for the guests to arrive. Yesterday, Claire sent invitation letters to some of the partners who were in Wilson's house before, and even plucked up the courage to send one to the Emgrand Group, but she was still a little nervous and didn't know these guests will come. She lacks strength. If even the opening ceremony is deserted, then the circle will look down on her company even more. Seeing her nervousness, Charlie comforted her, my wife, it's still early. It is estimated that when the time comes, all the guests will arrive. Don't worry. The scheduled opening time is 10 o'clock in the morning, just after 9 o'clock at this time, it is normal for no one. But not long after, Claire's cell phone rang suddenly. After she picked it up, she found out that it was the phone from the front desk of the building, saying that it was the Wilson family's visit, so let her know in advance. Charlie also heard the voice on the phone and asked in surprise, Wilson family? What are they doing here? You sent them an invitation letter. Claire shook her head and said, I was like that with them before. Why would I invite them over? Maybe they want to see a joke. The front desk said that Grandma came here in person and brought uncle and family. Don't create any conflict. Charlie nodded and said with a smile, as long as they don't look for trouble, I will definitely not go to conflict with them on this happy day. Claire nodded worriedly. Immediately afterwards, she saw old Mrs. Wilson walking over from the outside passage with Noah Wilson, Harold, and Wendy on crutches. Harold, who has beaten up some time ago and caught in the police station, had just been redeemed by the Lady Wilson with money, so at this moment Harold saw Charlie and his face was full of resentment towards him. But Charlie didn't bother to care about him. Today is a big day for the opening of the business, and he doesn't want to have any conflict with them, so as long as this group of people does not go too far, he will not take the initiative to provoke them. Wendy walked to the front, sneered, and said, Claire, You don't even say hello when you see your grandma, are you too unfilial? Claire said indifferently, you have kicked us out of the Wilson family. It stands to reason that we have nothing to do now. Old Mrs. Wilson jabbed her crutches to the ground and said angrily, you are the blood of the Wilson family, so you are born to be from the Wilson family, and when you die, you are also the ghost of the Wilson family. Charlie said coldly at this time, some people speak too much. They said they were kicked out of their homes, and they no longer recognize them as members of the Wilson family. Now they say that they belong to the Wilson family. Is this not too contradictory? Harold gritted his teeth and said, when Grandma speaks, it doesn't suit a waste like you to interrupt. Charlie looked at him, and asked, did you not get beaten enough last time? Do you want me to loosen your muscles? Harold's neck shrank, and he immediately persuaded. When he robbed the villa last time, he had already seen Charlie's strength, let alone one himself, even 10 of them would not be his opponent, so he should be honest. At this time, Claire pursed her mouth, turned her head to look at Mrs. Wilson, and said, sorry, we didn't invite you at today's opening ceremony. Please leave as soon as possible. Opening ceremony. Mrs. Wilson said disdainfully, Claire, you wouldn't think that if your small workshop opens, there will really be customers to join us. Noah Wilson on the side also chuckled and said, I heard that you still sent an invitation letter to the emigrant group with a shy face? You don't want to think about how it is possible for a small workshop like yours to enter the eyes of the emigrant group? Yes. The old Mrs. Wilson took the conversation back again, and said with a look of consolation, Claire, the family doesn't talk about two families, the couple quarreled at the head of the bed, and the end of the bed was reconciled as before, let alone you, it's my granddaughter, you have my blood in your body, why fight with me? With that said, the old Mrs. Wilson went further and said, look at you, you are working on such a dilapidated studio by yourself. It requires money and resources, and there are no resources. Why not return to the Wilson Group, and Grandma will let you be the director, and you work with your grandmother. In the future, I will give you an account of the shares of the Wilson Group, and even let you take over as the head. What do you think? The Wilson family is in a very difficult situation recently. Emigrant broke off their cooperation with them, blocked them, and the White family came to divorce again, and Harold couldn't support the wall with mud. Mrs. Wilson's only hope at this time was to bring Claire back to work within the group to make a breakthrough in business. Maybe Claire could get the emigrant group's contract back, so that other partners would come to cooperate with them one after another, and the situation would be reversed in no time. However, Mrs. Wilson did not expect that Claire will shake her head calmly in rejection. She said, I am not interested, I just want to do my own thing. Noah Wilson coldly snorted, Claire, I would advise you to be respectful. Do you see how desolate you are when you opened here today? Does anyone congratulate you? That's what you want to start a business? I think you are 80% still destined to failure. Start a business, then go bankrupt, is this what you want? Charlie's expression was full of disdain and sarcasm and said, is there anyone here to congratulate, what to do with you? As long as you want to know, the entire Oris Hill dignitaries will come to congratulate Claire. Hearing what Charlie said, Harold smiled contemptuously, and said sarcastically, Charlie, just pretend, you only know a few scoundrels, are you really a big man? I really don't believe you. Can a really powerful person come here? Wendy on the side couldn't help but say, Charlie, this waste is best at bragging. If there is no one to congratulate on the opening ceremony today, tomorrow this studio will become Oris Hill's laughing stock. I see how you will take orders. When Claire heard her, even though she didn't say anything on the surface, she still couldn't help but worry. The opening ceremony, to put it bluntly, is a ceremony that embodies the network resources. If there are many customers, it proves that the company has a strong network and strength can be reflected, especially if there are big people, then many people will be very face-off when they hear about this. But if there is no customer, wouldn't it be telling others that her company has no resources and no connections? How can anyone cooperate with this kind of company? If Emgrand Group could send someone to participate in the opening today, it would have added a lot of brilliance to his company, but Claire was not sure whether Emgrand Group would take care of her. Old Mrs. Wilson said at this time, Claire, this is about to be 10 o'clock, and there is no guest. I don't think anyone has any interest in this small workshop. I advise you to return to the Wilson Group to work. It's better to help the Wilson family steadily in the future than to come out and be cold-eyed. After knowing that Claire's company was about to open, the Wilson family also had exchanges with some of the partners who had good relationships before. After they knew that Claire was from the Wilson family, they all said that they would not come to the opening ceremony. I will never cooperate with Claire's studio in the future. Therefore, Mrs. Wilson dared to pack tickets, and there won't be any capable guests here today. At that time, Claire will naturally feel frustrated when she sees no one in her studio, and she will be able to handle her better in the future. At this moment, Claire was indeed very anxious, biting her lower lip, worried. Charlie, who was next to her, shook her hand and said seriously, Wife, even if there is no guest today, what can be done? It is enough to have me here. Claire looked at him moved, and nodded lightly, feeling that he was more at ease. However, the old Mrs. Wilson sneered, Charlie, you take yourself too seriously, what use are you here? Can you find a big person to join Claire's studio? Can you give Claire a favor? Is the studio looking for a cooperation order? Without the support of the Wilson Group, you will sooner or later drive yourself to a dead end. Charlie said arrogantly, Claire's company will definitely get better and better. Let alone a Wilson Group that is on the verge of bankruptcy, even the Wilson Group in its previous heyday is nothing in front of Claire. What's the matter? Why is it difficult to surpass you at first? What a big tone! The old Mrs. Wilson heard that Charlie actually said that the Wilson Group was on the verge of bankruptcy, and also said that Claire could easily surpass the Wilson Group in its heyday, feeling that the whole person was greatly insulted. She angrily threw her crutches to the ground, and said, You are just a rubbish who entered our Wilson family, how dare you say anything here? Charlie smiled slightly, You said I'm not ashamed? Ha ha, I'm just telling the truth. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Harold sneered a few times and said, Okay, Charlie, I'm waiting for you to become a big company. As time passed by, the time for karma was getting closer and closer. Claire's heart became more and more flustered, and he kept looking at his watch, staring outside blankly. Seeing her situation, Charlie comforted a few words, but it had no effect. But he was not in a hurry. Since he had sent an invitation letter to the emigrant, it was impossible for Doris to not come. The reason why she hasn't arrived yet, is she probably preparing a gift. Noah Wilson put on a posture of leaning on the old and selling the old, and said, "How about it? Do you still think you have any connections? It's almost 10 o'clock. If there were to be any guests, they would have come long ago. And now the front door is empty, obviously the dust has settled, and no one will appear again." Wendy also gloated and said, "Dad," this waste said, "there is not a guest, it does not matter, it is enough to have him alone. He really doesn't know where his status can go, does he really think he's the most powerful in Oris Hill?" At this moment, suddenly a voice from the front desk was deliberately raised from a distance. "Taylor, the richest man in Hyken, President is visiting Taylor?" Charlie was a little puzzled. Since the last time the White family banquet where he brought the lightning strikes on the spot, he has never seen Taylor again. Today, his wife opened the business and did not invite him. Why did she come? The Wilson family was also dumbfounded. Taylor? The richest man in Hyken next door is very strong. How could he come here? After Taylor entered the door, he ran straight to the office where Charlie was standing. The Wilson family was surprised for a while, and glanced at each other. Noah Wilson took a step forward and said, "I just met a businessman from Hyken a few days ago. He said that he has been walking closer to Taylor. He introduced me to Taylor." After speaking, Noah Wilson sorted his clothes and greeted him forward. Old Mrs. Wilson didn't dare to pretend to be big, and walked out behind. As soon as the fat-headed and big-eared Taylor approached, he hurriedly moved to Charlie's side. He didn't pay attention to Noah Wilson, who came up, and said with great surprise, "Mr. Charlie finally caught up." In the eyes of everyone's incomparable surprise, Charlie nodded slightly and said, "Why are you here?" Taylor hurriedly said respectfully, "Mr. Charlie, your wife opened the business today, how can I not come to join you?" At this time, Noah Wilson came to the front and interjected with excitement, "Mr. Lee, you are here, let's go and talk inside." "As you stand here and talk, it's not appropriate." Taylor was getting close to Charlie, but was suddenly interrupted. The smiling face suddenly became gloomy, and the air of a long-time high-ranking person exuded. He squinted at Noah Wilson and said coldly, "What are you? Did you not see me talking to Mr. Charlie?" Noah Wilson was very embarrassed, dumbfounded, and subconsciously asked, "I am Noah Wilson from the Wilson family, I was introduced to you by President Ma from Hyken." Taylor frowned slightly and said disdainfully, "I don't know you, let alone Mr. Ma. I came here today to congratulate Mrs. Wade's company." Taylor's words shocked the Wilson family. He actually made a special trip to congratulate Claire? This is the richest man in Hyken. Charlie and Claire, when did they catch such a line? Noah Wilson was shocked in his heart, and he didn't expect that the other party would be so rude to him. He would swear, and he couldn't hold his face. He hurriedly backed a few steps with interest, and stood aside. With a face full of doubt, Wendy asked Harold next to her in a low voice, saying, "This fat man is really the richest man in Hyken? Does it feel like an actor has been invited?" How can the richest man treat a rubbish with respect? Harold shook his head and replied in a low voice, I don't think it looks like it. None of the people present had seen Taylette. But Taylette, who was kneeling and licking Charlie in front of him, and Taylette, who was rumored to behave badly, were not alone at all. At this time, Taylette took out an exquisite box from his bag, handed it to Claire, smiled respectfully and said, Congratulations to Mrs. Wade's company for opening. This is a little bit of my heart, please accept it. Claire was a little at a loss. She didn't invite Taylette, didn't even know Taylette, and didn't know if she should accept this gift. Charlie smiled slightly and said, My wife, this is President Lee's heart, accept it. Claire then took the box, and after thanking him, she put away the present. But she heard Wendy say, Claire, President Lee gave a gift, would you let us see it? Yes, Lee is always a big boss with a fortune of hundreds of billions, and the gifts he gives are definitely not ordinary. Harold also said. Claire looked at Charlie before opening the gift box under everyone's attention. Inside the exquisite gift box, there is a crystal-clear jade pendant. This pendant has no impurities, the whole body is emerald green, and it looks extremely transparent under the light. Old Mrs. Wilson also stared at this pendant closely, her two old eyes were completely sinking into it. She has already seen that this pendant is exactly the clear breeze and bright moon at the East Cliff auction some time ago. At that time, it was sold at a high price of 50 million. It is said that it was bought by a huge man in Hyken, but she did not expect that man to be Taylette. She looked at the pendant and her eyes were red. If the Wilson family had such a pendant, it would be enough to fight a turnaround. Wendy also said with some jealousy, I didn't expect someone to come, I don't know what luck was. They met President Lee. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard the front desk of the building shout, Ms. Claire has a congratulatory gift. Immediately afterward, a rumbling sound came from outside. Everyone walked out of the building together, looked up, and saw that the square of the building had been cleared, and a huge helicopter was slowly descending. Immediately afterwards, the staff of the entire building became busy. One flower basket after another, one gift after another, were moved from the helicopter to the door of Claire's office. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.